Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on Akashvani. This is Abhineet Shukla, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gives 10-point call to action at G7 to address food, health, and development-related issues across the world. Leaders at Quad Summit condemn terrorism and violent extremism, reaffirm commitment for dialogue and diplomacy. Indian Prime Minister holds bilateral meetings with world leaders on the sidelines of G7 summit, including French, US and Ukrainian presidents and Japanese Prime Minister. Nepal announces the current decade as the Visit Nepal Decade, revises tourism policies to boost tourism. Fourth India-Indonesia bilateral exercise Samudra Shakti 23 concludes in South China Sea. India wins 3 gold and a bronze medal in Archery World Cup Stage 2 at Shanghai. And in IPL, Chennai Super Kings qualify for playoffs, defeating Delhi Capitals by 77 runs in Delhi. The Quad leaders have unequivocally condemned terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. In a joint statement on Saturday, they reiterated their condemnation of terrorist attacks, including the 26/11 attacks in Mumbai and in Pathankot. The leaders also emphasized on commitment to pursuing designations by the UN Security Council 1267 Sanctions Committee as appropriate. The Quad leaders, comprising the leaders of Australia, India, Japan and the United States, expressed their shared vision of a region where no country dominates and all countries are free from coercion. They said that the conscious must not be an era of war and reaffirmed their commitment for dialogue and diplomacy. The leaders also affirmed their support for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN centrality, unity and recognizing its regional leadership role. The Quad's positive, practical agenda covers a wide range of issues, including addressing the climate crisis, achieving sustainable consumption and production, strengthening cooperation in clean energy, and supporting health security. The leaders announced various initiatives and partnerships to advance these goals, including the Quad Infrastructure Fellowships Program, the Quad Partnership for Cable Connectivity and Resilience, and the Quad Health Security Partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday gave a 10-point call to action at the G7 summit in Hiroshima, Japan, to address food, health, and development-related issues plaguing the world. Addressing the G7 session on working together to address multiple crises, Mr. Modi suggested that the global leaders must develop inclusive food systems that protect the most vulnerable, including marginal farmers. He exhorted them to adopt millets, the path to nutritional and environmental benefit. The Prime Minister stressed on the need to promote digital health to ensure global universal health coverage and develop resilient healthcare system. He also suggested to build development models inspired by needs of developing countries. Mr. Modi said, "It is important to work together for the betterment of the planet and to address the challenges the countries face relating to sectors such as healthcare, wellness and food security." Jammu and Kashmir Chief Secretary Dr. Arun Kumar Mehta launched open quiz and photo competitions about G20 in Kashmir on the MyGov portal in Srinagar on Saturday. Both these competitions are available on the Jammu and Kashmir web portal www.jk.mygov.in. Speaking about the competitions, Dr. Mehta said that these initiatives are a way of celebrating the prestigious international event of G20 happening under the presidency of India. He encouraged all the residents of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the students, to participate in these contests to gain knowledge about this big forum and the local customs, traditions and locals. The competitions aim at promoting G20 awareness and its understanding among the citizens. They will also foster critical thinking skills amongst students by asking challenging questions that require them to think deeply about important summits, thereby broadening their horizons, igniting their passion for global affairs and providing valuable experiences. After completion of the quiz, The participants will get a certificate of participation also. Regarding the G20 photo competition, the participants have to submit photographs capturing G20 landscapes in Jammu and Kashmir in a creative way to capture the essence and impact of this important event. The photographs can have specific categories like cultures, traditions, tourism or people and relevance to the G20. The third Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group, that is ECSWG, meeting will begin in Mumbai on Sunday. The main focus of this meeting will be on steering the discussions around communique with a more outcome-driven approach. Speaking to Akashvani News, Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Richa Sharma said that the focus of the third ECSWG meeting is on a sustainable and climate-resilient blue economy.
Emphasize that the focus of the third Environment Climate Sustainability Working Group is on a sustainable and climate resilient blue economy. We will be discussing through an Ocean 20 dialogue issues related to science policy, governance, technology, innovation and financing to enhance ocean related actions, to avoid pollution, to enhance the sustainability of blue economy sectors.
The 3-day event will commence with a side event on beach cleanup in Juhu, Mumbai, which will be followed by the side event, the Ocean 20 Dialogue. The beach cleanup is an initiative aimed at enhancing awareness and to sensitize citizens on the role of community participation in safeguarding our coasts and oceans. The Ocean 20 platform, launched during the Indonesia Presidency Dialogue, is aimed to advance ideation and action for ocean solutions. To ensure continuity and build on the initiative, the Indian Presidency is demonstrating active leadership by anchoring the Ocean 20 Dialogue in the third ECSWG, which will focus on 3 significant pillars of the blue economy. Both the side events are aimed at promoting a sustainable and climate-resilient blue economy.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
Before we proceed ahead, let us have a look at the special events of the past week. The week saw 2 important meetings, one at Bhubaneswar and the second in Mumbai. These meetings have set the tone for the next round of the respective groups to be held at Hampi and Goa, as well as the ministers' meeting that are scheduled for the month of July and August. But all eyes will be on the upcoming Tourism Working Group meeting in Srinagar next week. Past events. Second CWG meet Bhubaneswar, 14th to 16th May. The second Culture Working Group CWG meeting came to a close on May 16th, 2023. Spread over 6 sessions in 2 days, the participants focused on 4 key priority areas under Culture track of India's G20 presidency. The 4 priority areas are protection and restitution of cultural property, harnessing living heritage for a sustainable future, promotion of cultural and creative industries and creative economy, and leveraging digital technologies for the protection and promotion of culture. The deliberations carried forward on the momentum gained from the first Culture Working Group meeting held in Khajuraho, Madhya Pradesh, and the expert-driven global thematic webinars held over the past 2 months. As a part of the second G20 Culture Working Group meeting, an exhibition titled Sustain the Craft Idiom was organized at Kala Bhumi, Odisha Crafts Museum in Bhubaneswar, Odisha. The focus was on harnessing living heritage for a sustainable future. The second Culture Working Group meeting was attended by delegates from G20 members, guest nations, and several international organizations. The CWG meeting provides a forum to promote a global dialogue on cultural diversity and its role in fostering inclusivity and sustainability. The outcomes of this meeting will form the baseline for the third Culture WGM to be held at Hampi from 15th to 17th of July. Third Energy Transitions WGM Mumbai, May 15th to May 17th, 2023. The third Energy Transitions Working Group meeting ETWG under India's G20 presidency concluded in Mumbai on May 17th, 2023. The meeting, which is spread over 3 days, saw the participation of over 100 delegates from G20 member countries and special invitee countries. Several international organizations, such as World Bank, Asian Development Bank ADB, World Economic Forum, United Nations Development Programme UNDP, International Energy Agency IEA, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC, International Solar Alliance ISA, International Renewable Energy Agency IRENA, United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific UNESCAP, United Nations International Development Organization UNIDO, and the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP joined the deliberations. They held detailed discussions on the draft ministerial communique and on priority areas. Member countries presented their respective viewpoints. There has been consensus on the proposals in the areas of energy transitions under India's G20 presidency. Most notable is the consensus on giving high priority to ensure universal access to modern and sustainable energy to all. The discussions focused on ensuring access to finance to countries that would enable the scale-up and implementation of critical and emerging technologies. These include battery storage, green hydrogen, offshore wind, bioenergy, and carbon capture utilization, among others. The discussions and progress on draft ministerial communique will be taken forward in the 4th Energy Transitions Working Group meeting scheduled to take place in Goa from July 19th to 20th, 2023. Upcoming events. Now, let us take a look at the G20 events scheduled for the upcoming weeks. 3rd Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting will be held during May 21st to 23rd in Mumbai. 3rd Tourism Working Group meeting follows next in Srinagar during May 22nd to 24th. 2nd Disaster Risk Reduction Working Group meeting is scheduled to be held in Mumbai during May 23rd, 25th. 2nd Trade and Investment Working Group meeting will be held in Bengaluru during May 23rd to 25th. 2nd Anti-Corruption Working Group meeting will be held from May 25th to May 27th in Bengaluru, and 3rd Employment Working Group meeting will take place by the end of this month during May 31st to 2nd June in Geneva. It is expected that these meetings will provide impetus to the decisive action points which will form the part of the final communique at the G20 summit in September this year.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the G7 summit in Hiroshima, Japan on Saturday. On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Modi held bilateral talks with several world leaders. During his meeting with President of France, Emmanuel Macron, he reviewed the progress in their strategic partnership in various areas, including cooperation in trade and economic spheres, civil aviation, renewables, co-production and manufacturing in defense sector, as well as civil nuclear cooperation. They agreed to expand the partnership to newer domains. The leaders exchanged views on regional developments and global challenges. Mr. Modi also met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. During the meeting, he conveyed India's clear support for dialogue and diplomacy as the preferred means to find a way forward for Ukraine. The Prime Minister also assured Mr. Zelensky that India would continue extending humanitarian assistance to the people of Ukraine. During the meeting with Prime Minister of Japan, Fumio Kishida, both the leaders discussed ways to enhance India-Japan friendship across different sectors, including trade, economy and culture, ways to synergize efforts of their respective G7 and G20 presidencies, and the need to highlight the voice of Global South. Prime Minister Modi had a productive meeting with the President of South Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol. They talked about ways to further boost India-South Korea friendship in key developmental sectors and agreed to deepen cooperation in areas of trade and investment, high technology, IT hardware manufacturing, defense, semiconductor and culture. Prime Minister Modi also met his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Minh Chinh. Both the leaders discussed opportunities in the fields of defense, building resilient supply chains, energy, science and technology, human resource development, culture and people-to-people ties. The Prime Minister also met German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and reviewed and assessed the progress in bilateral relations. Mr. Modi met the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden. Earlier, as a symbol of friendship and goodwill, the Prime Minister also unveiled a bust of Mahatma Gandhi in Hiroshima. The G7 summit preferences include nuclear disarmament, economic resilience and security, regional issues, climate and energy, food, health and development. There are other priorities also like digitization and science and technology, which will be highlighted during several sessions at the summit. Japan has also invited Australia, Brazil, Comoros, Cook Islands, Indonesia, South Korea, Vietnam and some of the international organizations, including the UN. In Nepal, the decade of the 2080s of Vikram Samvat will be marked as the Visit Nepal Decade, and the year 2025 as the special year for tourism. This was announced by the President of Nepal, Ramchandra Paudel, while presenting the policies and programs for the fiscal year 2080-81 at the joint meeting of the Federal Parliament. The tourism sector, which witnessed a huge dent from the COVID crisis, is slowly recovering. The President announced that timely revisions would be made to tourism-related laws. The tourist destinations would be popularized in the international community and the necessary infrastructure prepared accordingly. With the collaboration of private sectors, Sagarmatha Special Honour will be conferred on foreign nationals considering their role in the promotion of Nepal's art, culture, language and literature in the international arena. This is Akashvani giving you the world news. The fourth edition of the Indo-Indonesia bilateral exercise Samudra Shakti 23 concluded in the South China Sea. The sea phase held from 17th to 19th of May witnessed the participation of ASW corvette INS Kavarati with an integral Chetak helicopter and a Dornier maritime patrol aircraft of the Indian Navy. KRI Sultan Iskandar Muda with an integral helicopter Panther and a CN-235 maritime patrol aircraft participated in the exercise from the Indonesian Navy. During the exercise, a series of complex exercises including tactical maneuvers, weapon firings, helicopter operations, air defense and anti-submarine warfare exercises were undertaken. According to the Defense Ministry, this exercise has enhanced interoperability between the two navies. Minister of State for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh on Saturday announced that 231 stolen antiques have been repatriated to India during the past 9 years. The minister also highlighted the government's commitment to preserve India's heritage by setting up science museums across the country. Dr. Singh noted that several museums have already been established in aspirational districts, showcasing traditional knowledge and recent achievements such as India's successful COVID-19 vaccine story. During his visit to the first International Museum Expo 2023 in New Delhi, Dr. Jitendra Singh emphasized on the role of museums in cultural diplomacy and India's G20 presidency. The expo featured star objects from various museums and highlighted technological advancements in the museum sector. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on museums and repositories of Heritage Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the International Museum Expo 2023 at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. He also inaugurated a virtual walkthrough of the upcoming National Museum at the North and South blocks. The International Museum Expo was organized as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to celebrate the International Museum Day with the theme of the year Museums, Sustainability and Well-being. The Prime Minister mentioned that while India is celebrating Amrit Mahotsav on 75 years of independence, the different chapters of our history are becoming alive with the inclusion of technology on the occasion of the International Museum Expo. He said, when we enter a museum, we engage with the past and the museum presents fact and evidence-based reality, and it provides inspiration from the past and also gives a sense of duty towards the future. He said the theme Sustainability and Well-being highlights the priorities of today's world and makes the event even more relevant. Underlining that a lot of the heritage heritage of the land was lost during the period of slavery, which lasted for hundreds of years, when ancient manuscripts and libraries were burnt to the ground. The Prime Minister emphasized that this was not just a loss to India, but the heritage of the entire world. Recalling the Panch Pran, or the 5 resolutions taken by the country during the Azadi Ka Amrit Kal, the Prime Minister emphasized taking pride in our heritage and underlined that a new cultural infrastructure of the country is being developed. In these efforts, Prime Minister Modi observed, one can find the history of India's fight for independence as well as the 1,000-year-old heritage of the country. He informed that the government is running a special campaign to conserve local and rural museums along with the heritage of every state and segment of society. The Prime Minister also mentioned that the development of 10 special museums is underway to immortalize the contributions of the tribal communities in India's freedom struggle, which will be one of the most unique initiatives in the world to provide a glimpse of tribal diversity. Giving examples of conserving the heritage of the land, the Prime Minister mentioned Dandipat, where Mahatma Gandhi marched during the salt satyagraha, and the memorial built at the spot where he broke the salt law. He also mentioned the redevelopment of Mahaparinirvan Sthal of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar into a national memorial at 5 Alipur Road in Delhi, along with the development of Panch Teerth related to his life in Mhau, where he was born, in London, where he lived, in Nagpur, where he took initiation, and the Chaitya Bhumi in Mumbai, where his samadhi exists today. He also gave examples of the museum at Sardar Patel's Statue of Unity, Jallianwala Bagh in Punjab, Govind Guruji's Memorial in Gujarat, the Man Mahal Museum in Varanasi, and the Museum of Christian Art in Goa. He also touched upon the Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya, dedicated to the journey and contributions of all the former Prime Ministers of the country in Delhi, and requested the guests to visit this museum once. The Prime Minister said when a country starts conserving its heritage, it gives rise to closeness with other countries also. He gave examples of holy relics of Lord Buddha which were conserved over the generations and now uniting followers of Lord Buddha all over the world. He mentioned sending 4 holy relics to Mongolia, the arrival of the holy relics from Sri Lanka to Kushinagar. Similarly, the legacy of Saint Ketevan of Goa is safe with India and remembered the enthusiasm in Georgia when the relics were sent there. Our heritage becomes the harbinger of world unity, he said. The Prime Minister suggested that the museum should become active participants in conserving the resources for the coming generations. He suggested that museums can conserve and present the signs of many calamities that the earth has faced, and presentation of the changing face of the earth can also be done. The Prime Minister mentioned the collective challenges of smuggling and appropriation of artifacts and said that countries with ancient cultures like India have been struggling with this for hundreds of years. He pointed out that many artifacts have been taken out of the country in an unethical manner before and after independence and urged everyone to work together to put an end to such crimes. He also expressed delight that various countries have started returning India's heritage amidst the increasing reputation of India in the world. He gave examples of the statue of Ma Annapurna stolen from Banaras, the statue of Mahishasuramardini stolen from Gujarat, the idols of Nataraj built during the Chola Empire, and the sword decorated with the name of Guru Hargobind Singh Ji. The Prime Minister informed that around 240 ancient artifacts have been recovered and brought back to India in the last 9 years, in contrast to less than 20 for several decades after independence. Prime Minister Modi urged art connoisseurs around the world, especially those associated with museums, to further increase cooperation in this field. There should not be any such artwork in any museum of any country which has reached there in an unethical way. We should make this a moral commitment for all the museums, the Prime Minister said. The Prime Minister emphasized we will conserve our heritage and will also create a new legacy.
In Jammu and Kashmir, a Pakistani intruder was shot dead along the line of control, that is LOC, in Frontier District Poonch of Jammu Division on Saturday. Our Jammu correspondent reports that the infiltrator was challenged by the army troops guarding the Balakot sector along the LOC in the Mendhar subdivision of the Poonch district when he was trying to sneak into this site from across the border. However, the intruder paid no heed to the repeated warnings and tried to flee back when troops opened fire, resulting in his death. An IED was recovered from the spot, which was destroyed in situ. Some narcotics that were recovered from the spot and have been seized. The whole area has been cordoned off and searches are being conducted. In a major boost for Kyiv, the US has agreed for its Western allies to supply Ukraine with advanced fighter jets, including American-made F-16 fighter jets. The National Security Advisor of the US, Jake Sullivan, said that President Joe Biden informed his G7 counterparts of the decision at the bloc summit in Japan on Friday. In addition, the US troops will also train Kyiv's pilots to use the jets. Ukraine has long sought advanced jets, and President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the move as a historic decision. Mr. Sullivan told reporters that the move was a part of Washington's long-term commitment to Ukraine's self-defense. The Western countries can only resell or re-export American military hardware if the US approves it, so this decision clears the way for other nations to send their existing stocks of F-16s to Ukraine. The F-16 is widely used by a number of European and Middle East nations, as well as the US, which still manufactures the aircraft. On the other hand, the NATO member countries are concerned that handing jets to Ukraine would be viewed as escalating the war, risking a direct confrontation with Russia. Previously, the US stance was more of skepticism about the modern fighter jet supplies, and it has focused instead on providing military support on land. In Archery World Cup Stage 2 at Shanghai on Saturday, teenage Indian archer Prathamesh Javkar defeated the world number 1 Mike Schlosser of the Netherlands to win a maiden World Cup gold medal in the men's individual compound section. In the non-Olympic compound section, India bagged 2 gold with the mixed team duo of Ojas Devtale and Jyoti Surekha Vinnam, beating top-seeded Korean team 156 to 155. This was a successive World Cup gold medal for the mixed pair duo that had also won in the Antalya leg last month. Earlier, in the compound mixed team event on Friday, mixed team duo of Sheetal and Rakesh also bagged gold. Meanwhile, Avneet Kaur won bronze medal in the women's individual compound category with a 147 to 144 victory over İpek Tomruk of Turkey. In IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings stormed into playoff stage, beating Delhi Capitals by 77 runs in their last league stage match in New Delhi this evening. Opting to bat first, Chennai Super Kings made 223 for 3 in the stipulated 20 overs. For CSK, Devon Conway scored 87 while Rituraj Gaikwad made 79 runs. In reply, Delhi Capitals managed only 146 for 9 in the 20 overs. Skipper David Warner made 86 of 58 balls. The second match between Kolkata Knight Riders and Lucknow Super Giants is now underway in Kolkata. Chasing a target of 177 runs, Kolkata Knight Riders were 114 for 4 in 15.1 overs when reports last came in. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal reports Chinese speech fears skyrocket after military attack on comedian. The Guardian writes, no one saw this level of devastation coming. Climate crisis worsens in Somalia. Washington Post reports Brazil indicts ex-officials over Amazon murder of journalist and colleague. The Japan Times reports, as world's poor face compounding crisis, what could curb risks? South China Morning Post writes, Ukraine's Zelensky lands in Japan, says G7 summit will bring peace closer. Khabar Hub writes, in a lot of the world, the clock has hit midnight. China is calling in loans to dozens of countries from Pakistan to Kenya. The Globe and Mail writes, airstrikes hit Khartoum's outskirts as Sudan's war enters 6th week. A quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gives 10-point call to action at G7 to address food, health and development-related issues across the world. Leaders at Quad Summit condemn terrorism and violent extremism, reaffirm commitment for dialogue and diplomacy. Indian Prime Minister holds bilateral meetings with world leaders on the sidelines of G7 summit, including French, US and Ukrainian presidents and Japanese Prime Minister. Nepal announces the current decade as the Visit Nepal Decade, devises tourism policies to boost tourism. 4th India-Indonesia bilateral exercise Samudra Shakti 23 concludes in the South China Sea. India wins 3 gold and a bronze medal in Archery World Cup Stage 2 at Shanghai. And in IPL, Chennai Super Kings qualifies for playoffs, defeating Delhi Capitals by 77 runs in Delhi. And now before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Japan.
नवा जाना तो तेने काहिए चे पीर पलाई जाने रे हर के उधार खाने तो ये माना भी मानना आने रे.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.